Been busy here, folks. As we're closing into springtime, I've got my compost out, so we had a big truckload come through and I've just finished stockpiling it across the rows, as you can see here. Now, I did a demonstration a while ago on how I prepare my trees as far as feeding them and getting the soil ready for springtime. Now, I used the bags last time, but this time, as you know, I've got so many trees, I brought bulk of that stuff in. Now, this is the compost we bag as well, but I'll give you a quick run through of what I do here. You can see all the weeds are still in there, and that's okay, as long as you keep them down low. Brush cut them down before you actually apply anything on top. If you really want to take out the weeds, I suppose you can, but the idea here is that to actually have a multi-species plantation going on, and that includes your weeds and your grasses and your tree as well. And if you ever get a chance, put some flowering plants underneath there, along with some herbs, because they really do go well with your fruit trees and I suppose ornamentals as well. So once you've cut all your weeds down nice and flat, you don't have to dig them. All you're doing is layering. Now, before I did apply this compost on top, as you can see here, I actually spread some superfood and black grit around the base, just a light handful around each tree, spread out quite far. And now I'm putting my compost straight over the top. Now, this stuff here, it's cooling down, but when I started to pick it up with the bucket and spread it, it looked like smoke coming out of that steam. And it was, in fact, it was quite hot, or it still is. And I thought, well, let's just have a look and see how warm it is. Now, this pile's been moved, it's quite cold on top, and I dare say it's only about 9 degrees outside. So I've just got my compost thermometer in here. I'm just going to leave that for a few minutes to see what sort of temperature it goes up to. Now, being fresh compost, and you find if you get it from a local garden supplies or even in a bag form, when you do open it up, if you're only applying a small layer, like a thin layer, you need to cover it over immediately, or hydrate it at least before you cover it, because that fine layer on a day like today is not so bad, but on a sunny day and a warm day, and it depends on what part of Australia you're from, the hotter it is, the quicker that compost will deactivate. What I mean by that is it'll dehydrate, and any form of life that exists in it or food source will really break down quite quickly and become non-existent. You can try and rehydrate it later on, but the idea is to not allow that to happen in the first instance. So when you open up a bag, spread it out, make sure you've got your watering wand or watering can and mulch beside you so you can finish off. What I've done here, and you can see how many rows there are, because I'm leaving them in a stockpile like this, I'm making sure it doesn't deactivate too quickly, and I'm only going to spread this out as soon as the bark turns up. So what I'm going to apply, actually no, we're going to be using our straw this time, and we may put some bark over the top of it later. So I've got a few big bales, the large bales of straw that have been activated, meaning they've been left out in the weather with rain in the past, and they've started to compost. And if I break them apart, there'll be so much life in them. Now I'm going to spread them over the top of this compost. First, the compost is going to be laid out, then straight over the top with the mulch, in this case being the straw, and then hydrating it as well straight away. That way we secure ourselves as knowing that the compost is going to be still good and it's going to do its job, because what we're doing is just feeding the soil, we're populating it. Now, in the past, when I first did this bed, I did a very narrow bed, folks, so it was only about 4 centimetres long, and these dogs, I'm gonna rip him. I'm gonna kill him. He's oh no. Huh? Do you think there's something in the compost that's causing it? So when I first did these beds, they're only about 60 centimetres wide, folks. You can see all the way down. And what I'm doing now, each time we top it up again like now with compost, it's actually going to be at least 1 metre wide. So this is going to get spread out to here. It's not going to stay in this narrow band. We're going to spread it out further. And that's what you should be doing with your garden beds. Even though if they're not in rows, you may just have a tree in the middle of the garden bed. Don't feed around the base of the tree. Well, you can, but not only there. Spread it out everywhere. And that's what we're doing with the compost. So this band here, it's going to be about 1 metre, 1.5 metres wide. And each year goes by, from there on, it'll get wider and wider. Eventually, we'll be feeding it up to where the drip line is of the tree. So when the branches come out, that's not a good example here, maybe this one over here. When these branches start to grow out further, and we're still pruning, folks, by the way, you know, our drip line's going to be here because we want our roots to grow out further. So, time to feed your plants. I'm feeding my fruit trees with the compost, and I've got my superfood and black grit underneath there, and make sure you mulch on top. So important that you do, otherwise it defeats the purpose of putting anything down, especially if it's only a thin layer. So don't forget that. Now remember, we've got our fruit tree workshop coming up tomorrow. If you haven't booked in, we've still got a couple of seats left, so go online and check that out. We've got more in the coming dates till the end of the month, and we're doing our gardening workshops for September. We haven't released those dates yet, but keep it in mind that we'll be launching those, and if you want to come to one of those, by all means, book in the seat. Now that's tomorrow. Today, as you're watching this, I'm going to be in Red Hill in the morning down there doing a delivery with the team and helping them with their soft launch of the outlet. You can shop online for Red Hill and click and collect over there. And Sunday, lots of things happening. We've got the Heritage Fruit Tree Orchard Festival, which is in Werribee. So Werribee Heritage Fruit Trees, they're doing their grafting and pruning session. Come down there, it's amazing an event. I think it's a gold coin donation. Lots of sign wood of heritage varieties that you can purchase. Have them grafted onto a rootstock as well. Come and say hello to us, because we'll have a stall there, a pop-up there. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend and tune into the radio on 3AW. That's me and Darren talking gardening. From me, Vasily, Maresi, and our Get Ready for Spring sale is on too. Bye-bye. Bloody hell, I forgot to check the temperature on this. We're sitting at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 21 degrees Celsius. Just creeping up a little bit more, up to 22 degrees, I think. Okay, now this has been moved, okay? So from the original pile, we've moved it out here and it's cooled down. So I reckon it would have been warmer out there in the stockpile. This is the leftover stockpile from yesterday's pushing around, folks. And when I was doing it yesterday, I could see all that steam coming out, and I thought, well, I've got to check this out. So I got off the Bobcat, grabbed a handful from the bottom of it, and I couldn't believe how hot it was. It was steaming hot in my hand. So I've just chucked the thermometer in here for you to have a look at, and it's clocked over 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's up there about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's that? 30 degrees plus in temperature Celsius. So it is hot in there. Now it is cooling down as each day goes by. So this will cool down, but when you get it fresh like that, be careful where you apply it or how you touch it, because it'll burn.